In a galaxy far from Earth, the planet Erythra glimmered like a jewel among the stars. Its oceans shone deep blue, and its forests glowed faintly at night. The people of Erythra, called the Seralith, were gentle and wise, with long silver hair, shimmering skin, and eyes that reflected the colors of their homeworld. They loved peace, music, and family above all else. At the center of the capital city, in a palace built from crystal and living wood, Queen Alicia ruled. She was kind but strong, guiding her people through every challenge. Her pride and joy, however, was her only daughter, Princess Lyra. Lyra was young, curious, and full of laughter that sounded like wind chimes. Everywhere she went, the palace felt lighter, and even the oldest Seralith smiled at her presence. One evening, a sudden storm appeared in the skies above Erythra, unlike anything the planet had ever seen. It shimmered with violet lightning and streaks of golden energy. The queen had been warned that interstellar storms were dangerous, but nothing could have prepared her for what happened next. The royal fleet, carrying the queen, the princess, and the palace guards, was caught in the storm's swirling power. Ships were torn apart and scattered across the galaxy, some drifting into distant systems. Queen Alicia clutched the empty space beside her in terror, realizing her daughter was gone. No ship, no signal, no trace of Lyra remained. That night, the queen wept silently, holding the hand of her closest advisor. Her palace, usually full of music and light, felt heavy and empty. For 10 long years, Alicia searched, sending messages into the stars, calling for scouts, and praying that her daughter was still alive somewhere. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, on the edge of human space, a small colony thrived on a mining planet called Arden Prime. The planet was dusty, quiet, and lonely, but it had value in rare minerals. Captain Ethan Cole, a human soldier assigned to the colony, spent his days ensuring safety and helping miners when accidents happened. Ethan was a tall man with kind eyes and a gentle voice, respected by all who knew him. Though trained in combat and survival, Ethan had a soft heart, especially for those in need. One quiet morning, the colony received an urgent distress signal. A freighter traveling near Arden Prime had lost control and crashed on the rocky surface. Ethan and his team rushed to the site, navigating jagged cliffs and sharp winds. Among the twisted metal and smoke, his scanners picked up an unusual signal, faint, steady, and rhythmic. It was unlike any human or known alien technology. Ethan followed the signal to a small stasis pod hidden beneath rubble. Its surface was smooth, metallic, and marked with strange symbols. Carefully, he activated the pod. The top hissed open, revealing a small, pale blue figure inside. A child with delicate features, silver hair, and large, luminous eyes. Ethan froze, recognizing the child was not human. The child stirred and blinked, frightened and weak. Ethan knelt beside her, speaking in calm, gentle tones. "Hey there. It's okay. You're safe now." She didn't speak, but her eyes searched his face. Slowly, she extended a trembling hand. Ethan offered his hand in return, and she grasped it with surprising trust. Over the next few days, Ethan cared for her. He learned her name was Lyra, though she could not remember much else. She was quiet, at first hesitant to trust anyone, but Ethan's patience and kindness slowly won her over. He provided food, warmth, and stories to distract her from fear. In return, Lyra showed her intelligence and curiosity, pointing to stars and making gestures that spoke volumes. She laughed softly when Ethan made funny faces, and her tiny smile became a daily gift for him. Ethan had no doubt that the child was special. Something in her presence felt different, a gentle light that seemed to calm those around her. When scientists at the colony examined the pod, they discovered the royal insignia of a long-lost alien civilization, one that matched records of Erythra, a world thought peaceful but isolated for centuries. As the realization sank in, Ethan's heart swelled with responsibility. This is the princess," he whispered to himself. "You're the one they've been searching for." He promised her with a firm nod. "I'll take you home, Lyra. I'll get you back to your mother." Even as he made the promise, Ethan knew the journey would be long and difficult. Erythra was many light years away, and unknown dangers could lie between them and her home. But his resolve did not falter. To Ethan, no challenge was too great for the sake of a child who had already suffered so much. During their journey aboard Ethan's ship, Lyra slowly began to recall fragments of her past. She remembered her mother's gentle voice, singing lullabies of the stars. She remembered the crystal halls of the palace and how she used to play among the gardens of Erythra, chasing butterflies that shimmered in the sunlight. Ethan encouraged her to speak, to draw, and to write what she remembered. He showed her human maps and taught her how to use the ship's star charts. Lyra learned quickly, her mind sharp and her memory keen. She asked questions about humans, about the stars, and about the worlds they might pass. Ethan smiled as she asked about Earth, a planet she could barely imagine, but one that made her eyes shine with curiosity. Evenings on the ship were their favorite time. They watched twin sunsets from a viewing window, talking quietly about dreams, fears, and hopes. Ethan told Lyra stories of Earth's oceans and mountains, while Lyra spoke of Erythra's glowing forests and floating waterfalls. Though they could not fully understand each other's worlds, they shared a bond deeper than words, one of trust, care, and friendship. The news of their journey began to spread. Across human space, messages arrived about a human soldier escorting an alien princess. Some doubted the story, thinking it was exaggerated. Others were amazed. But Ethan paid little attention. For him, it was never about recognition or glory. It was about keeping a promise and seeing Lyra safely return to her mother. Along the way, they encountered breathtaking sights, nebulas that glimmered in gold and violet, asteroid belts that sparkled like crystal rain, and distant planets with oceans that reflected three suns. Lyra's eyes lit up with wonder at every new discovery, and Ethan often found himself laughing at her excitement. He realized that no matter the distance, the joy of witnessing someone's first experiences in the universe was a reward in itself. Yet the journey was not without challenges. Some systems were difficult to navigate, with dangerous gravitational fields or unpredictable energy storms. Each time, Ethan skillfully piloted the ship, and Lyra learned to trust his judgment completely. She began helping, reading instruments and predicting weather changes with uncanny accuracy. Together, they became a seamless team, human and Sarilith, guiding each other through the vast emptiness of space. During one quiet night, Lyra sat by the ship's observation window, whispering to the stars. "Mom, I hope you can hear me." Ethan watched her, his heart heavy with empathy. He understood her longing. He, too, had lost people he cared about in his life. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "She will hear you, Lyra. And soon, you'll see her again." Time passed, and with every star system they passed, Lyra's strength returned. She grew taller, more confident, and her voice became clearer. She laughed more freely, played games, and even taught Ethan how to make a star-shaped paper crane, a Sarilith tradition to honor hope and reunion. Finally, their ship neared Erythra's system. The sight of the blue and green planet made Lyra gasp in disbelief. Her small hands pressed against the viewing window as tears welled in her eyes. For the first time in 10 years, she felt that home was close. Ethan held her hand tightly, sharing in her excitement. "We're almost there," he said softly. "Almost home." Unknown to them, back on Erythra, Queen Alicia had never stopped searching. Every night she sang lullabies into the cosmos, hoping her daughter could hear them. She sent scouts into every nearby system, scanning for the faintest signals of her child. When news arrived that a human soldier had found a child matching Lyra's description, Alicia's heart leapt. Could it be real? Could her daughter truly be alive after all this time? The Queen prepared for the moment of reunion, unsure what to expect. Her advisors warned her to be cautious, but her maternal heart ignored their hesitation. She dressed in flowing robes of silver and gold, carrying the insignia of the royal family. When Lyra stepped onto Erythra's surface, the Queen would be ready, both nervous and hopeful. Prepared to embrace a miracle, Ethan watched Lyra as they approached the planet. He marveled at her courage, her resilience, and her hope. In many ways, he thought, humans could learn from the Seraph. They were gentle, wise, and capable of love beyond measure. And perhaps it was that very love that made his mission meaningful. As Erythra's twin suns began to rise over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Lyra whispered once more, "Mom, I'm coming home." Ethan smiled, gripping her hand firmly. "And I'll be right here with you," he promised. The stars sparkled as their ship descended, carrying not just a human and an alien child, but hope, courage, and the promise of reunion. The journey had been long, but the most important chapter was about to begin, the moment when mother and daughter would finally see each other again. To be continued. The ship descended slowly through Erythra's atmosphere, the twin suns casting golden light across the forests, rivers, and crystal-clear lakes below. Lyra pressed her small hands against the viewing window, her silver hair shimmering in the sunlight. Her heart raced with excitement, nervousness, and hope all at once. After 10 years, after countless nights of dreaming, she was finally coming home. Ethan, seated at the controls, glanced at her. "We're almost there," he said gently. "You're going to see her soon." "Your mom?" Lyra nodded, but she couldn't speak. Her throat felt tight and tears filled her eyes. Memories from her childhood flickered through her mind. Her mother's gentle voice, the warmth of her embrace, and the lullabies she used to hum under Erythra's twin moons. For the first time in a decade, she felt that those memories were about to become real again. As the ship approached the capital city, the towering palace appeared, sparkling with crystals and light. It was more magnificent than Lyra remembered, taller than the highest tree she had seen, with towers that seemed to touch the sky. Gardens filled with glowing flowers stretched as far as the eye could see, and fountains reflected the twin suns in shimmering patterns. Queen Alicia waited at the palace entrance, her heart pounding with anticipation. She wore flowing robes of silver and gold, the royal insignia glimmering on her chest. Her eyes, bright and sharp, scanned every approaching vessel. When the signal arrived that a human soldier was escorting a young Seraph to her, she felt a mixture of disbelief, hope, and joy. Could this really be true? Could her daughter be alive after all these long years? Inside the ship, Lyra clutched Ethan's hand. "Mom, I'm here," she whispered softly. Her voice trembled, carrying years of longing, fear, and hope. Ethan smiled warmly. "Then let's go meet her," he said, guiding her carefully out of the ship and onto the soft grass of Erythra. Lyra ran a few steps, then stopped as she caught sight of the queen. Alicia's eyes widened and her breath caught. She froze for a moment, not sure if she dared to believe her own eyes. Then slowly she began to walk forward, her arms trembling with anticipation. "Mom," Lyra called again, her voice a whisper. The queen's knees bent instinctively as she opened her arms. Tears streamed down her face as she fell to her knees, gathering her daughter into a warm embrace. "Lyra and my child, my precious Lyra," she whispered, holding her tightly. The two of them clung to each other, a mother and daughter reunited at last. Their hearts beat together as if no time had passed, as if the years of separation were erased in a single instant. Lyra felt warmth she had almost forgotten, and Alicia felt the relief and joy that she had longed for every day. Ethan watched quietly, standing a short distance away. His chest swelled with quiet pride and happiness. He had only done his duty, he told himself, but seeing the queen and her daughter together filled him with a sense of accomplishment far greater than anything he had known. The human soldier realized that true strength was not in weapons or skill, but in kindness, courage, and the willingness to protect others. After a long moment, Lyra pulled back slightly and looked into her mother's eyes. I missed you so much," she said softly, tears glistening. "I missed you too," Alicia replied, her voice breaking. "Not a day passed that I did not hope to see you again. You are safe now, my child, safe and home." The palace staff, advisors, and citizens who had gathered around watched in awe. They had heard stories of Lyra's disappearance, of the terrible storm that scattered the royal fleet, and of the years of searching that followed. To see her returned alive was nothing short of miraculous. Whispers of amazement spread through the crowd. The queen turned to Ethan, her hand still pressed to her daughter's shoulders. "And you?" she said, her voice strong despite tears. "You have done something no one else could. You brought my daughter back to me. Words cannot express the gratitude of my heart." Ethan bowed slightly, shaking his head. I just did what anyone would do," he said softly. "She trusted me, and I promised to bring her home. That was all." Alicia smiled through her tears, understanding the humility and bravery in his words. She gestured to the palace, inviting them inside. "Please come with us. You must meet the council and the people. They will want to celebrate this day with us." Inside the palace, Lyra explored slowly, holding her mother's hand tightly. She ran her fingers along the walls, remembered the patterns in the crystal floors, and paused at familiar garden fountains. Each memory that returned brought her a mixture of joy and wonder. The council and citizens welcomed Lyra with awe and celebration. The palace erupted in music and song, Seraph melodies blending with human applause. Flowers and decorations were placed in honor of the princess's return. Lyra felt a happiness she had never known, a sense of belonging, love, and safety that filled her heart completely. That evening, as the twin suns set in glorious shades of pink and gold, Queen Alicia and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The people cheered and the city lights shimmered like stars below. Lyra rested her head against her mother's shoulder. "Thank you, Ethan," Lyra said softly. "You saved me. Not just from being lost, but from feeling alone all these years." Ethan smiled gently. "You never were alone," he said. "Even when you couldn't see it, there were people searching for you, and I was just lucky enough to help." The queen nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You are welcome in Erythra as long as you wish. You have shown us that humanity carries not only skill and knowledge, but a heart capable of great kindness. You are a friend of Erythra now." Over the following weeks, Lyra reacquainted herself with her home. She visited the palace gardens, played with animals she remembered, and learned more about her people's traditions. She and her mother shared long talks, stories, and songs, catching up on the years they had lost. Lyra also learned about the galaxy beyond Erythra, the worlds she had never seen, the humans she had met, and the adventures she had experienced while lost. Ethan spent time with both mother and daughter, observing the bond they shared. He marveled at Lyra's resilience, intelligence, and spirit. In return, Lyra taught him about Seraph music, dance, and culture. He realized that even in a galaxy so vast, the connection between beings of different worlds could be deep, meaningful, and full of joy. One day, Lyra took Ethan to the highest tower of the palace, where the stars shone brighter than anywhere else on Erythra. She pointed to the faraway systems she had traveled with him, showing him constellations he had never seen. "These are the places I've seen," she said with a small smile. "And I want to remember them so I can tell everyone one day." Ethan nodded, proud of her. "You've been through so much, Lyra, and yet you've kept hope. That's something no one can ever take from you." The queen joined them, wrapping an arm around Lyra's shoulders. "And now, thanks to Ethan, our family is whole again. Let us honor this day, not just for my daughter's return, but for the friendship between our peoples. Humanity and Erythra have shared a bond that will last forever." In the weeks that followed, celebrations spread across Erythra. Festivals of light illuminated the cities, music echoed through the forests, and stories of the brave human soldier and the lost princess were shared among children and adults alike. Lyra, now safe and happy, often smiled at the memory of her journey. She would never forget the kindness of Ethan, the beauty of the stars, or the miracle of returning home. As the twin suns rose on a quiet morning, Lyra ran through the palace gardens with her mother, laughing freely for the first time in years. She paused to look up at the sky, thinking of the distant worlds she had passed, and whispered, "Thank you, Ethan." Ethan, watching from a distance, smiled softly. The mission had ended, but the friendship, the bond, and the memory of this incredible journey would remain forever. He realized that the greatest victories in the universe were not those of conquest or power, but of courage, compassion, and love, and so, the story of Princess Lyra's return became a legend, told across galaxies, inspiring hope and reminding everyone that even in the vastness of space, hearts could reach each other across any distance, and humanity's greatest strength lay in its ability to care. The end.